back to New Rockstars. I'm Filup Molina. This is Rogue Theory. It's an old friend episode of Rogue Theory that I'm excited about. But first, just let you know what we'll be talking about. The directors of the biggest movie of all time, you may have heard of it, Avengers Endgame, they dropped some bombshells into Reddit last night, and we're going to dive real deep into some of those and blow it up with our Rogue Theories. But with us this time, old friends that we're going through. Obviously, Erik Voss is an old friend.
Hi, I'm still here.
So, you don't get to leave.
That's fine.
But Brandon Barrick, we've known Brandon I met you 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We were both -2.
Very negative, very ornery.
And a comedian and all sorts of other things. But real quick, also, I just want to admit that I met you basically at a Heroes and Villains party that you threw.
Oh, yeah. I had a birthday party. It was a Hero and Villains party.
And like 12 years after that, I stole that idea and I made it my birthday party.
I was the first one to ever think of that idea.
Yeah, exactly. What if we put heroes and villains in the same thing?
Who could do it?
And then another old friend, Trisha Hershberger.
Hey.
Trisha, you are everywhere on the internet right now.
I try to be.
Yeah. So instead of pointing anyone at anything specific, just hit this girl up on Twitter, and we'll talk more about where you can find people later.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Yeah, just hit her up on Twitter. The quick reminder that you're used to is that this show can be found as a podcast. It's way earlier than the video version. Subscribe to that wherever you get your podcast. But yeah, so we were saying on this episode, we got some Rogue Theories about some Endgame stuff or whatever. We're also going to hit a Spider-Man world news, the world of Spider-Man, and Suicide Squad. Yeah, the Suicide Squad. I don't know if you guys know about that. That's not even a joke. The Suicide Squad. Guys, all right. So the Russo brothers did this Reddit AMA, and they were asked a couple questions. I just want to go directly to some of these questions, their answers, and then discuss some theories with you guys. So first of all, someone asked what else they're working on.
Okay.
And regarding possibly other franchises, and they said we are quietly and secretly, which I don't think they need to say both those words, working on a franchise right now. Separately, somewhere else they said that it'd be a big surprise to people to find out that they'd be working on this. So, first of all, what do we think it is? In fact, let's say it could be within Marvel, so let's stay there for a second. What do we think?
Oh, well, what do we know about what they are doing for sure? They're doing this 21 Bridges movie that's coming out soon. They have this, is it a D&D or Magic the Gathering series that they're doing? They have this spy series for Amazon, but a surprising franchise.
Staying within the MCU for right now.
Within the MCU. They've talked about wanting to do a Secret Wars movie. That's something that, other than the Infinity Gauntlet saga, they would love to do Secret Wars.
They said they're secretly working right now.
They did.
They did say, why would you say both?
Secretly working too, is what they said. Yeah.
But it's interesting that they say franchise. Now, do they mean a franchise film, or do they mean they're starting their own sub-franchise within the MCU, like maybe the X-Men or something like that, or the mutants?
Thinking.
Yeah, the new version of the mutants.
But they're just we're not allowed to talk about it, but we are absolutely doing the X-Men.
But we're finally gonna do X-Men, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was so much.
I know, hot take right there.
You don't think the X-Men have ever been done right?
I think X-Men have been very hot and cold. And I would like to see a start to finish really nice X-Men run where there wasn't a lukewarm in between.
Yeah, we feel confident from movie to movie, rather than what dice roll again?
I think it's fine if you have one bad movie, one good movie, 6 bad movies, and one good movie and one bad movie, and then another worse movie.
Yeah, it's so weird with X-Men. They're always with even Dark Phoenix, they're always teasing it, and then they do it, and every time they do it so wrong.
I know, but because they bring back literally the exact same person that wrote the previous draft of a version that everyone loved but loved to hate, and then they just got the same team and they did the exact same story again. What I would love if they are doing X-Men is I do think that the Russo brothers, with their take on Civil War, with their take on Winter Soldier, all these things, they find these other ways to tell stories. They ground them, except for Infinity War and Endgame. You shouldn't really ground those stories so much. Although it was them that decided we need to make Thanos the center of that movie and give him the arc, which is a version of grounding it, right? Instead of Spaceman just wants to impress Mistress Death. But so if they did that with the X-Men, maybe we would finally see new. We don't have to see the flashback to Jean Grey's house. when she's growing
Right.
up. And maybe they tried to do that a little bit with trying to bring Mystique in and like, look, we're telling one thing slightly differently. But yeah, I'd be very excited if they're doing that. Okay, not X-Men. What about Fantastic Four, maybe?
I mean, that's like another cursed franchise, right?
Right.
Totally.
You're not a fan of the Trank?
I think it was an interesting approach for Fantastic Four. I think if you're going to do Fantastic Four, I mean, the big question is now in this MCU, if you're introducing these other heroes like mutants or like the Fantastic Four, like where have they been the whole time? Are they from another dimension? I think now that they've opened up that like kind of dimension hot pot, that's
the multiverse.
Yeah, that's like your God from the machine for everything, right? Like everything can be solved with like, oh, they're just from another dimension.
Yeah.
It's a little too convenient.
I kind of love the whole multiverse aspect of comics. I like that it's convenient to just be like, it's another one.
Yeah.
It's another version. It's another plane of existence. It's another.
Yes, your mom was killed in front of you in this universe, but this version,
she's still killed in front of you, but the movies are different.
Yeah.
Well, because we get so many different stories around characters we love. That's why I'm on board with it. I'm like, what? You want to change some stuff and just say it's a different plane of existence. I'm okay with that.
Side note, my pitch for the where to take Batman post the where it's at now, which I feel like a lot of us are still like, the Christopher Nolan films. Like, no, we've had Batman films since then. My pitch is go ahead and do alternate reality Batmans. Let's do a noir Batman. Let's set them at different times. Let's have freaking Dark Knight Returns or something, but like an insane.
Do a true year one story, which hasn't really been done yet.
Just do all of these different versions of him because I think that character can withstand it too.
Yep.
But do we think would it be Fantastic Four or?
I guess people might say that's surprising for them. I would say like that's right on brand for the Russos to tell another like team story with like quirky, slightly broken people who save the world in some way. Like if anything, I would say not the Fantastic Four and maybe not even Secret Invasion because that's another like government conspiracy story for them. I think if we're talking about like what's off brand for Russos, what's surprising for them within the MCU, we're like cosmic, we're multiverse, interdimensional, or like some other like alternate planet, alternate reality thing that we haven't met yet, or maybe a Silver Surfer Galactus story, something like that.
And we know we can go there because just from the little we know about WandaVision and the next Doctor Strange movie, like multiverse is here. We are firmly in it. The Pandora's box has been opened. So
I like that our question was, is the multiverse real because of Mysterio was apparently lying about everything, and he's the one that's like, by the way, I'm from the multiverse, and he's just a liar, and he worked down the street in New York. But now they're like, oh no, let's just put in the title of something.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that
We're
was
titling the movie with this
That's
thing.
how they answered that question.
we're there.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're working on something that's like a much smaller comic that's in the frame, like that Marvel has owned for years or something that people forgot about, or maybe they're like secretly doing like Richie Rich or something, some weird obscure comic.
So yeah, let's do it, right? Let's go outside of the MCU. Like, what are just some franchises? I'm gonna throw out there because I've heard this was like a real thing that almost was happening a while back. Just the Hasbro toys and that whole Hasbro universe.
Well, Battleship was supposed to be the beginning of like the Hasbro universe, wasn't it?
So I'll just throw out there. Okay, fine. They already did it, so never mind. I changed it to the cereal box characters.
Count Chocula?
Not him, but everyone else.
Frankenberry.
Yeah.
Captain
It's very
Crunch?
complicated with the rights. Sony has Count Chocula.
Got it. Sure.
The new
Yeah.
cap is Captain Crunch,
They could
right?
use the name
Exactly.
Count Chocula, but he can't eat chocolate.
Yeah,
he can't wear the
exactly.
costume.
Yeah,
That's
he's
his
not allowed to
weakness.
count.
Oh, Constantine TV
No, who
show.
else? Let's throw him out. Let's throw him out.
Maybe Mighty Max? Has Mighty Max been done as a...
I pitched Mighty Max years ago as like just that needs to come back in general. Do you guys remember Mighty Max?
I don't.
It's weirdly gory
It was
Polly Pocket.
Boy
for
Polly
boys.
Pocket.
Wait,
Yeah.
I totally do.
Yeah, it comes in a big
Yes,
skull.
Boy
It's a
Polly
skull,
Pocket.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what did it for
But
me.
the cartoon of it is amazing. By the way, cartoon has one of the best. No
Endings.
one's watching the ending
Yeah.
of this now, so I don't mind spoiling it. But spoiler alert for Mighty Max if you haven't watched it yet. The whole series, he puts on his hat and it transports him to this like separate side universe. He's just a kid. He deals with a fowl or something or whatever it is. A bird man, wise bird man. And they try to like defeat things or whatever. And at the end of the whole thing, they lose. They don't defeat him, and the whole story starts all over again. But this is after like years, whatever. I'm saying Infinity War. They stole it from Mighty Max.
Or we are long overdue for Russo Brothers, Applegate, Christina Applegate, what am I saying? Not Christina, K.A. Applegate, Animorphs reboot, right? Like that is surprising, and it's gonna make $1 billion.
I would like fans to start keeping account of the number of times Eric has brought up Animorphs unprompted from out of nowhere.
Good for you.
My name is Jake, right? Just opening words. My
What are
name
you
is
looking
Jake.
at? There's no. Come on, everybody, Animorphs.
I'm looking at the Elemist whom only I can see because he's pause time.
Everyone out there, I clamor for this every single time I get to talk about a comic book series that needs to be seen on screen and hasn't yet. But Lock and Key, please. And I think a Russo Brothers Lock and Key would be very interesting. I mean, the things that I really love about Lock and Key is that it's so dark and disturbing. I'd be interested to see a Russo Brothers take on Lock and Key. Now, that being said, if at any time that anyone's listening to this, there probably is some type of Lock and Key project in the works, rumored, whatever.
Exactly.
But every time that's happened so far, it hasn't actually made it anywhere that people could watch besides one panel at Comic-Con years ago and then never beyond that. So I'm not considering it a thing until I can see it with my eyeballs.
That's what I was just thinking about for Saga, because I was like,
Yes.
Saga is Marvel, right? As in like the MCU, in that it is written exactly like the current MCU films are, where it's like funny but so sad at times and intense and great action. So if they do Saga, that'd be a perfect fit for them. It's just I can't remember if that is already in the works somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure it's like Why the Last Man or something, where
which
it'll
has
just be
been
in the
coming
works
out for a
forever.
while.
Yeah, never come to fruition. I need someone to finally finish the story. I don't know if it was ever a comic, but the cartoon Pirates of Dark Water was never finished.
Oh, the
I
Watchmen
kind of-
spinoff is that?
No,
what it's
no,
called?
wait,
the
no.
Pirates
Yeah,
of
what's
Dark
that?
Water
It was a cartoon
cartoon
series.
Oh,
I
wait,
hated it.
Oh, that was like
Tell
it
us
came
what it
between
was.
gargoyles and like.
It had a video game on
Or
Sega
King
Genesis.
Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table.
It was like
I
a
think was right
pirate who had to
before that.
catch all these jewels to
I
stop the dark
vaguely
water
remember that.
from spreading, and he got half of them. Pushed the dark water back a little bit, but never finished his journey.
Stupid me as a kid. I didn't know what pirates were. For like way too long. I was like 11 or
Like
something.
conceptually, you didn't
How do you-
understand the idea of
It
stealing
was just
stuff?
like something that didn't really come up in Miami growing up. Like pirates wasn't a thing that. It's so weird. I've learned this later, and there's people from Miami right now in the comments like, "What are you talking about?"
Is it because the threat was too real?
Maybe it's like ocean, a threat from the ocean.
But
is
you
right
didn't know
there.
what pirates were?
No, not
Well,
really.
the governor of Miami or the mayor of Miami was a pirate. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the best
Still is,
pirates
still
trick
is.
you into thinking they don't
Yeah.
exist.
Like no, I know I wasn't 11, but I was like too old. So when that cartoon came on, I was like, I can't relate to this. These people watch swords on a boat. Like,
Wait,
you don't
so
do
when you
that.
saw,
That's
like,
the
the-
first rule of Miami.
the Lego pirates or the Muppet pirates, you're just like, what is this crazy?
You watch Peter
reality?
Pan, and you're like, who are these dudes on
To be
this
fair,
boat?
also remember, English was not my first language, and so when I would hear these like very new words, I would just nod, like, yeah, right. And I think there was a time where I thought pirates and panthers were the same thing.
That's the show we need. Pirate Panthers.
Pirates and panthers.
So you must get Blackbeard and Black Panther totally across the street.
It was years ago, Eric. I only get it kind of mixed up now.
You're not getting away
That's
with
so
this.
sweet.
All
That's
right,
such a
so
cute story.
Of these options of franchises that they could take, what's the best fit? Also throw out there, it could be like Quiznos or Subway franchises as well. But they would be surprising.
Delicious.
But yeah, what are we thinking? What do we actually want their energy? Now that I said it, I actually am going to vote for Saga. I think that would be amazing.
Okay.
Well, I said Lock and Key only because they said people would be surprised to find out they were working on it. So maybe not something that fits as well as a saga, although I would love to see a Russo Brothers saga. I'm with you.
I mean, I hope they do Fantastic Four, because I feel like those guys really need a good movie.
They need a win.
They need a win, man. They need a W. Daredevil got his W.
Well, do you remember? I mean, after the last Fantastic Four movie, then the comic died.
yeah, well,
Like,
because
that's how bad it was received.
Well,
by
Marvel wasn't going to make comics that they
weren't
couldn't
going-
control
right.
the movies of,
Right.
so they killed off the X-Men and they killed off the Fantastic
Right.
Four. Yeah.
And that's so petty, by the way. Like they killed characters that were like star
I
characters.
mean, you could say it's petty, but it's petty
good business.
It's petty of Fox to make terrible movies just to not lose the rights.
especially
of it. That's
that,
petty.
and it describe what you mean there, like how legally they did that.
Yeah, because like if they didn't make with Daredevil, they just gave up. They're like, we can't make a good Daredevil movie. We give you
It's
can have it
impossible.
back,
No one can
Marvel.
do it. Yeah.
But they were so sure that like, Fantastic Four is gonna be worth it, and so they made an original movie with Roger Corman that never even got released just to hold on to the rights. Then they made those.
Making the movie gives them like another buffer
Yeah,
of
it
rights.
gives them like another 5
3
or 6
5
years or something like that.
Wow.
So like they were gonna lose it again after that second terrible Fantastic Four movie with Nip Tuck in it. So they made the Josh Trank
Mr.
version,
Nip Tuck,
and
yeah.
it was another mess.
Nip
and
Tuck was not the problem in that.
Nip Tuck was not the problem. He did a great job.
Yeah.
And I actually liked the idea of like Galactus being a storm rather than like a big dude.
I was saying
in a
that earlier.
costume.
We were trying to talk about like, are we talking about Galactus at all in this episode? Not really. Okay, then we can talk about it real quick. Sidebar, going rogue. Just as Eric was about to give his answer.
Good.
But Galactus is potentially the threat that we're all like, well, where do you go after Thanos? You go to Galactus. First of all, I don't know that you need to go back into space. You could do Nip Tuck. You could do Doctor Doom or something. But if we do Galactus, he is such a weird concept, and they did Ego kind of weird when they're like, he is a planet for a second if you blur your eyes, but doing Galactus, he's a space giant that is larger than planets. I was talking to you guys about this earlier. He doesn't actually go like and eat a planet like that. He like absorbs it, so he doesn't need to be a giant for any reason. He just needs to be some sort of energy suck or absorption of resources. So what you said, I agree with.
Yeah, I like the idea of like, you know, they've played around with that a little in Marvel, you know, the Mandarin fake out and things like that. But I think it would be weird to do Galactus as like a giant dude. Though that being said, I remember 10 years ago when I was like, well, they'll never do the Guardians of the Galaxy because we can't have like, they have like talking raccoon and a big tree in a movie, like, but they did it, you know.
I mean, sounds like a Pixar
great.
movie.
It's great.
Yeah.
I cried a lot at a digital raccoon.
Not a raccoon.
Not a raccoon.
We don't know what he is. Yeah.
I cry every time pretty much I see Baby Groot on screen. Like
I
every
Even when he's
time,
doing
every
cool,
time,
fun stuff.
even when he's doing cool fun stuff, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And then when he's in danger, I'm like, the baby's in danger. Yeah, it's awful. It hits me in like a weird maternal place every time I see Baby Groot.
You not long ago had a baby.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old at home.
So, well,
You started at 2?
So
or?
approximately, I brought a 2-year-old home. His
No, I
mother's
haven't
very
seen Filup in a long time, and I have a 2-year-old at home. But his first cosplay was Baby Groot, actually.
That's good. But the reason I bring that up is did that create now suddenly a wave of emotions associated with babies?
Oh yeah, I watch movies completely differently now. It's terrifying, and I play video games completely differently.
Interesting.
now.
Like what games? Like
Any games that deal with kids at all. Like if kids are in danger at all, it's almost like I have to take a time out and step away from
like
the console.
that kid in Walking Dead or whatever, the Walking Dead game.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that I playing games before that emotional, like I guess emotional stakes were risen is the best way to say it, but playing games before that, it was like, man, they're doing stuff to kids. Those people are awful. And now it's like, the whole world around me is ending, and like I stream on Twitch, and I'll be like, "I'm sorry, guys, I'm gonna take a breather and be right back." And I'll put up a BRB screen and like have to take a 10-minute timeout. Like it hits totally differently now. But yes, with movies, like, oh yeah, Baby Groot, I'm like, someone protect that baby, please. What's happening?
Yeah, when you go back to watch like Spielberg movies or the Amblin ones, the classic structure is to put children in danger and disrupt the family unit. And now, like as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, kids like me in danger, that's fun. As an adult, like your empathy drives start to kick in. You have
crazy.
new,
I feel that for Will and Stranger Things because the rest of them clearly they smoke cigarettes or something. Like those kids are like aging to be cool. But whenever Will's like in a scene with them, I'm like, oh god, this poor kid. Like I'm in Hollywood, I'm even like, please keep him away from drugs.
Don't you dare put that baby in front of a railroad track. And that's what it feels like. You feel like you want to jump into the movie and get that kid out of danger, and then just like nurse them.
Well, and the Russos talked about that in their AMA. They mentioned how, like, you know, this having spoiler alert, Tony die, you know, make the choice to like leave.
We don't know which Tony.
Which multiverse Tony?
Danza.
Having Tony die, like sacrifice his life, knowing he would, you know, leave his wife and his child like husbandless, fatherless. That was a heavy thing because they understood that as parents, you know.
Yeah.
It's a tough choice.
We all cried like big children in the theater, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You know
yeah.
what's interesting?
Just making
It's
sure
the
we're on
two
the same
perspectives
page.
on that. So they're creating something that resonates with fathers and you know or mothers or whatnot. But like he's going to leave his family behind. That's the motivation for Breaking Bad, right? Like he does everything he does
For his
because
family.
he's sick and he's going to leave his family behind and they're going to be broke. But from the same story can work the other direction. That's why as kids we were all so traumatized by Lion King. It's the same thing. The father's dying, but it's not about like he's leaving us without food and money. It's just like my protector's gone.
Well, and that's why you can understand like Baron Zemo's motivation of being so upset because his family's killed by these jerks flying around shooting off pulsar rays. You know, he wants a little revenge. He's angry,
Yeah,
and I
Zemo
get
did
it.
nothing wrong.
Yeah, I'm Team Zemo, dog, all the way.
And Eric, Count Chocula, that's
What
your
were we
answer?
talking about? Oh, Animorphs is always my answer to every
Animorphs,
question.
of course.
Why don't let your baby turn into a lizard?
The baby makes a choice because he touches the cube. They have a cube in that universe too. my
Is he
friend.
old enough to make the choice?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that argument.
Is this a dead franchise? Do they still write new Animorph books?
Well, I believe the series is done, but there is a thriving fan fiction community.
I don't want to get into that fan fiction.
Yes, you
community.
do. Oh, yes, you do.
Just Eric's backpack, just like thriving. Cool. So next question that I want to go into from the AMA, is they specifically addressed which character from the MCU would you want to create a film about, and they're like, yeah, Wolverine, done. So, what does their version of Wolverine look like?
Well, I think Hugh Jackman was one of the few good things about the
Yes.
Wolverine,
Yes.
about that series of movies. Logan, I think, was just like perfection. If you think like any filmmaker, James Mangold already told that story with Logan.
So they're probably not going to tell that.
I would say
version.
like maybe
No.
X-23. Like X-23 has been great.
Oh, you
from
think
the
that they're going to
series.
not? They're not going to
Like
have it be
Wolverine
Logan.
and
Right, she is
entitled
Wolverine right
Yeah.
now.
Well, and
you know, like-
Logan's story has not only been told so well and finalized so well, but Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine is another Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Like, it's like that person is now so in everyone's mind as that character that it would be really hard. I mean, if you did something close, it would be very Uncanny Valley. And if you did something completely 180, people would probably reject it, at least at first. So, yeah, I think going with an X-23 would be really cool.
Yeah, or like his son or something. You know, if they pull in like.
We're Wolverine Jr.
Yeah.
His like someone made a secret Wolverine, which they kind of did.
They've
in
done that,
Logan.
yeah.
I mean, Logan was great. I think it kind of it made us see the whole Logan story a lot better. Like I think early on there was a lot of problems with Wolverine, but I'm also like, isn't Wolverine such an easy answer for them? Like there's so many other.
I mean, I think it's
characters we'd
them.
like to
I think
see.
it's them. Like, I don't know if they're putting their chips on the table with Feige
They're
or
trying to call
something
it.
or something. Kind of right,
Yeah.
because like anybody is probably saying like,
Everyone
yeah, we
wants
want
to
to be
do-
the Wolverine people.
Right.
I think they have the keys to the castle at this point. They made the most
yeah.
profitable film of all time, and I think
yeah.
like them saying it's going to be surprising. It's Disney. Like they're the people who put J.J. Abrams in charge of Star Wars. Like how big of a surprise is that? Like I think they're just going to give them like, hey, you guys are in charge of X-Men now. Like they're going to play it safe and give these guys who have proven they can build a franchise and sustain it, and the keys to something that people want to see thriving and rebooted.
So I'll take your answer as X-23 or Wolverine Jr. As like a way that they could bring Wolverine in. It sounds like maybe a solo film or a side character that is like the mantle at least of Wolverine. That's Rogue Theory A. What about though they're gonna find a way to bring in just specifically Wolverine? I'm wondering what their version of that looks like.
Just him, no X-Men, no other mutants.
Maybe. I mean, I am throwing out there the possibility of maybe not.
Right. I mean, it's tough. Like they really, I think they thrive on like these kind of genre style movies. You know,
Like the way they did
Winter
Winter
Soldiers,
Soldier.
like the spy story.
So what's the Wolverine genre then?
Maybe they go 180 and do like a comedy, like a Wolverine comedy.
Well, so maybe they do buddy cop or something,
You
right?
bring him in
yeah.
with Deadpool or something. Like you think, what are his relationship? Wolverine has so many like fun relationships
Weird
with Cap
relationships.
in the comics with Spider-Man. Like
Well, we know
he's
Ryan
got-
Maybe they
Reynolds
want to
really
do
wants that,
what was the Canadian Force, the Canadian Avengers?
Oh, Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight. Maybe
right,
because
right.
Wolverine was an Alpha Flight
That's
for a little
right,
bit.
yeah, he's-
Maybe
yeah.
they want to do the Alpha Flight story with Sasquatch.
Yeah, they easily could. That's something they could do is start way before his X-Men story.
Right.
Yeah.
You can
I mean,
always
not
play
too
around
far
with his
before,
like
but
because Wolverine's memory is Swiss cheese, right? So you can put him anywhere, give him a little amnesia,
dementia.
Yeah,
It's
give him a
very
little
serious.
dementia. It's a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
use too much deodorant with
Yeah.
aluminum in it.
Your bedside manner, by the way, is not the best.
Sorry.
You got Swiss cheese brain.
It's a technical term.
Sorry.
Cool. Do you have any thoughts on like I guess I'm trying to identify Russo brothers. What did they do specifically to the characters that we knew? Because they did. So here, maybe this will also explain what I mean. Joss Whedon's take on the Avengers is not the same take as the Russo brothers' take, and I think actually Joss Whedon's take is a little bit more Firefly and Buffy kind of energy of we're quippy while we fight. Which is very fun and was interesting, but also didn't work in Age of Ultron. And then the Russo brothers did kind of be like, we die. Like we're sad. You know, we grow out our roots.
It's almost
for
like
5
Community.
years.
Like they took the lessons from Community, this mix of like, you know,
So
goofy
Dan Harmon's
comedy,
like-
but like heartfelt tragedy at moments.
Yeah, I mean they're still pretty quippy.
It's still
That's
pretty
for
quippy,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Some
but
Abed in there.
But so that's interesting. So then, if it is so, Community is famously structured on Hero's Journey, but they structure the episodes of Community untraditionally for a sitcom. It's cold open, 3 acts, and tag, and sitcoms are usually 2 acts or done differently. But basically, they were like, no, we want to hit the drama beats in our comedies. So they did kind of do that with Captain America. Definitely, they made that a pretty serious character, especially looking at First Avenger.
Yeah, when you go from 1 to 2, it's a big jump, and that's when I think everyone was like, okay, we're gonna be okay with all these movies now. Because
Yeah, we were worried after because I didn't really enjoy the first Captain America movie.
Yeah, I
I
liked
did.
the first
Yeah, it's
Thor way
fun,
more
but-
than the first Captain America because I
Interesting.
thought Thor was so different. I was like, at least this is a little different.
So then, going by this logic, their Wolverine would be
I mean, Wolverine's already dark. If we go Logan, Logan's already really dark.
well, but he wasn't dark in his introduction on the Fox X-Men series.
Well, and that's
right?
why. So what I was going to answer to your question is maybe go back and do justice to Logan's origin story, and maybe back it up before he actually becomes Wolverine.
So you
and
mean he's
kinda
just someone who
see
can
that.
heal, and then the X-23 project is ahead of him.
Sure, and
The Striker,
see
or
who
X-
he
or-
was. Like you
yeah,
said, you know,
Weapon
his
X.
memories.
Oh yeah, Weapon X. Sorry.
Yeah, we see his, you know, when we look at his background, we're seeing it through his eyes, and like you said, he has Swiss cheese brain, so there's a
Oh
lot
my
of
God,
holes in
please
there.
don't make that catch.
So it might be nice for us as the audience to see, even though he's not telling us from his own experience.
They'd have to kind of tell a different story than what we saw in X-Men Origins because they
Yeah.
start with he's a kid during Civil War era or pre-Civil War era. He takes on the name James Howlett, and you kind of see that bit of an origin, but like people didn't really go crazy for that story. So if you want to reboot something about Wolverine, those kind of pre-Weapon
Yeah,
X
so
days
that's-
is somewhere you
That's
can
interesting. Instead of doing then, I mean, you can do Wolverine's is from the 1800s, and his mutant abilities, you know, made it so he ages very slowly. But if we are potentially doing something where Scarlet Witch is suddenly about to create a bunch of mutants or something, it's about to be a brand new thing, I don't think anyone is like, what's essential and core to Wolverine is that he's from the 1800s. He's racist. He talks old timey. Like these aren't essential core parts of him, right? It could just be he's kind of old and clearly seen some shit. So maybe it's like he's activated and he's just like a soldier away at war or something, and he gets like, you know, shot by a sniper or something, and his whole unit does, and then he just like gets back up and he's like, what's going on? You
Yeah,
know?
the first
Yeah, he
hole
has
of
no
that Swiss
idea.
cheese
Yeah,
is
that-
shot
Yeah.
There's a bullet.
Yeah.
But then we see the beginning of a healing Wolverine. It's not he wasn't born that way. They're all created in that moment.
That would
Yeah,
be
like-
interesting.
Yeah, having a Wolverine that's like born in like modern day, you know,
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It also will help the aging problem of
yeah.
like we start with someone real young because they said they wanted to go young, right?
Yeah.
And then they just don't.
Well,
you
it
know.
feels like they're setting up all these young, new,
Hot.
body-driven Avengers and like characters and stuff. Like, because we get
Are
all
they
these
not already
hints of these kids.
body-driven?
I mean, they're pretty body-driven. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. But now they'll be even more body-driven.
Cool. All right. The last like major question I want to touch on here that came from the AMA is, of course they freaking said this and it's gonna drive Eric crazy. They said that there's another big Easter egg that has not been found in Endgame yet. We can guess like what kind of thing it could be, but my real question is, are they lying?
I mean, it could be they're just waiting for someone to say, I found this thing, and they're like, yep, that was it. You nailed it, buddy.
Well, what was the James Gunn story?
We still don't know. He has said that like people have partially found it, but not the whole thing. Like James Gunn said, there was one more missing Easter egg in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So people online in various Reddit threads, there's
Certain
other
YouTubers.
YouTubers other than us who have really started to crack the code. But literally, it's a code. So you see the coordinates under each planet. Like, oh, now they're at Xandar. There's coordinates. So people have kind of decoded it using some kind of alphanumeric key that has decoded it as saying like, this is Meredith Quill. Ego, mom's cancer are words that have shown up, but it's not consistent. Sometimes you have to like turn letters sideways, and now it looks like an E. You know, so it's not. It's not like it's broken. We figured out the code. It's like people kind of saying maybe this, and I don't know if people will ever find it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if James Gunn has just said like, yeah, it's out there. Keep rewatching my movie. I'll keep staying
Right.
relevant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's the
watch
kind
it
of
on
guy who's
streaming
trolled
services
people.
where they
Yeah.
count the view.
it's only
Yep.
on streaming that you
Yeah.
can see the Easter
Right.
egg.
Or
Yeah.
make sure you buy the Blu-ray so you have it at home so you watch it over and over and over and over.
And you should probably buy a new Blu-ray each time, just in case I
Totally.
put it in later.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at something like Endgame, sure. I mean, we are in the process of rewatching it. We do find new things. But, like, a lot of times it's like, oh, you remember that memorial in San Francisco where Scott Lang saw literally thousands of names? One of them is just the art director's son's name, and that's the Easter egg. Like, is that, what are we defining as Easter egg? Just something that they consider to be a fun little wink? Or what John Watts actually said, there is a Howard the Duck Easter egg hidden on one of the license plates. And it is kind of a fun thing because it referenced, like, a cover page that takes place on the Staten Island ferry where that scene takes place. That, to me, is a true Easter egg. But sometimes it's just like, oh, it's my kid's birthday is a number on a license plate. Like, is that, who cares?
Right.
It feels like you've been burned.
I just, whatever.
It starts
It's
to
going to
get-
give us content to do, so.
Did you guys see I saw people theorizing online that Gwen Stacy may have appeared.
So,
Right,
what's
a
the story
video
on
I think
this?
on the
we were
channel
talking about this
now. You
earlier.
this is hilarious because it's like there's a girl who passes by Peter Parker and Ned when they have their reunion moment. She's wearing a spider web pattern skirt and she has blonde hair, pink backpack. People are like, oh, it's Gwen Stacy. You can find that skirt on Hot Topic and just like wear it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that extra showed up that day
Just
at Pinewood
wearing it.
Studios wearing.
I
wearing
also
the
heard that the
spiderweb.
backpack has pink bows and that pink bows is a Gwen Stacy
It's
thing.
kind of a Gwen Stacy
There's
thing.
Well, also the girl trips and her neck snaps, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's kind of a Gwen Stacy thing, right?
Yeah. She looks at the camera and says, I'm Spider-Gwen.
Hey.
But with the broken neck.
Maybe the actress did this. Maybe they just have him. Like, the real thing here is Sony's going to have to charge Marvel a lot of money to feature Gwen Stacy in their movie because Marvel doesn't own Gwen Stacy.
Right.
So is Marvel going to shell out all that money just for an extra to pass by? No, they're going to have a fun, like, post-credit scene if they're going to work in Gwen Stacy in the movie,
So speaking of Spider-Man and these side characters and what Marvel can do and what Sony can do, we're about to get to a big announcement that just came out very recently from some of our favorite filmmakers. But first, people help us make the show. MeUndies doesn't take themselves too seriously, and they think we shouldn't take undies too seriously either. They believe undies should be soft, fit you perfectly, offer some fun patterns that give you the freedom to express yourself. And they don't just have undies, they got super comfy onesies and loungewear, perfect for sitting on that couch and slowly rocking back and forth after seeing that new It Chapter 2 trailer. All creepy like. I actually legitimately wear exclusively MeUndies now because they're so freaking soft under my pants. I'm obsessed with them. I really love the high-tech fabric that MeUndies uses. It's micromodal. It's 3 times softer than cotton, so it's really comfortable to wear. It's also really durable. I can wear it when I exercise. To get your 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Rockstars. That's MeUndies.com/Rockstars for 15% off your first pair and free shipping. You spend 1/3 of your life asleep, so you should be comfortable. Casper mattresses can help. Casper's products are designed to mimic human curves, providing supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies. The original Casper mattress combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amount of sink and bounce. Breathable design also helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. The mattress is delivered right to your door in a surprisingly small box. You'll be a little freaked out at how small of a box a full-size, super comfortable mattress can be shipped in. I actually legitimately got one of these for my mom, and she says it's her favorite mattress she's ever had in her entire life. That's for real. By the way, you can be sure of your purchase with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial, and you could get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting Casper.com/Rockstars and using Rockstars at checkout. And of course, terms and conditions apply. That's Casper.com/Rockstars and promo code Rockstars for $100 towards select mattresses. All right, back to it. Guys, we're back. I was just talking about... You can say yay, that's fine. Yeah. I was just talking about where we're potentially headed with Spider-Man. Did you guys see this news about Lord and Miller?
Yeah, they're
You did,
expanding
yeah.
the Spider-Verse to live action on TV.
Well, so there's like no details on this yet, so we're super just speculative here. But yeah, they are saying that they are potentially doing multiple live action series with Spider-Man characters with Sony TV, and Sony TV is reminding us they according to them, hundreds of characters that they have the exclusive rights to. So are there those characters that we're like, hell yeah, they have blank, blank, and blank, and we're super excited to see them?
Well, there's like all the weird symbiote characters.
Yeah,
symbiote.
There's
all the
there's
side
Carnage and
they already teased Carnage.
Carnage is
But
Woody
it feels like
Harrelson,
that's where the Venom films are going.
Yeah,
Right. And they
Riot,
made-
Scream, Lasher, Agony, Phage. Yeah, those other 5 ones.
Well, and even
They've
Lady
done one.
Venom, too.
Yeah. Lady Venom is part of it. So you have all the Venom verse.
Yeah.
But then you also have like the other
Lizard.
spiders. You have like ones that we've seen in. I'd love to see a live action Spider-Ham. Just get a pig. Yeah, but you got to
Again,
CGI the pig because
live
otherwise it's
action.
pretty.
You do like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you put peanut butter all over the pig. Whenever he
like, get
talks.
some talking.
Yeah.
Oh God, Pete is coming. Pete is coming. So we already hinted at animated versions of the other Spider things. So we have Spider-Gwen, you know.
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales.
Yeah, there's all the other people who have donned like the Spider-Man mantle.
Let's follow that thread. A Miles Morales live action show.
Yeah.
If they can't do a movie, right? Because I mean, it feels like they can't do a live action version of that. Could they do it as a show? Would we want to do it as a show?
Yeah,
I'd be pretty down for an animated version.
Yeah.
But still, live action.
I would like to see it as a live action show. I think a lot of people have been clamoring to see Miles Morales on screen for a long time, and for whatever reason, it hasn't been done yet. So let's make it happen in a live action show, especially just kind of taking it back for a hot second to the Marvel conversation we were just having earlier, knowing that phase 4 of the MCU is going to really tie in television with film. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get Miles Morales maybe starting in a TV show and then somewhere later on down the line on the big screen. I'd be
it
into
would kind of Sony could force Disney Marvel's hand by having such a popular live action version of the character that they have to make another deal with them to get them in their movies and their Disney Plus streaming shows. Because right now, I'm sure there's some people at Disney Marvel who are like, Sony's doing pretty well with their Jumanji movies and their Spider-Man movies. We kind of want them to fail enough so we can just like buy them the way we did Fox
Exactly.
and get
Right.
Miles and Peter and all these things under our umbrella.
They still have a lot of the villains, by the way. Like most of those villains are individual deals, but they have Electro. I think they have Green Goblin, Doc Ock.
Doc Ock,
Yeah.
Kingpin,
Lizard,
like
I
all
think
the
is
Sinister Six
Yeah, I'm not
and
sure where
stuff.
Kingpin
Yeah, basically.
is at,
So I mean, a Sinister Six TV show sounds a little bit of like lower than I'd imagined, in scale.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
mean
It's
like,
just like meetings.
like it'll never happen?
No, I kind of mean like they got to go with films for that. I'd imagine.
But you could do like
Maybe.
the comic reboot of Sinister Six a few years ago was great and had a very funny tone, and that would make like a great animated show, I think. Like doing kind of a
But
more
again, live
comedic-
action.
But they're talking live action,
Right.
right?
And I think live action, unfortunately, is probably going to mean lower budget,
Right.
than or smaller ideas, more grounded. Like we've explored the idea of a damage control thing. Like there was that NBC
Oh,
show.
yeah.
where it was
Both of
like-
those shows failed.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of trying to do the idea of damage control, and we saw that a bit in Far From Home. Like if you want to do like a workplace kind of thing, another like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type show that Sony wants to have, that's one way you could do it.
Well, and doesn't Miles? He's like theorized to already exist in the MCU because
Yeah, Donald Glover's
played
nephew.
his
Yeah.
uncle. So it's like he's already kind of there. I mean, he might show up in like What If, maybe. I don't know.
I'd be down to see some villain origin stories.
Yeah.
I mean, and I wouldn't err on the side of, just because it's a TV show, it's got lower budget, and that means it's not going to be as awesome. Because I feel like
Netflix did
Fisk
pretty
was
well.
the best
Yeah.
portrayal
Oh, yeah.
we've seen, and that was a television show. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I can
always like
imagine
the dark
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, like what if there's just a show called Harry Osborn, and it's just like because we haven't seen Oscorp, it's
and
hard
it's just
for
like
them to do it.
Riverdale. Like it's
Yeah.
Harry Osborn just going through his
Yeah.
high
Trying
school
not to be
days.
his father's son. I mean, in the PS4 Spider-Man game, there was a whole thing with Harry Osborn's like spoiler word if you haven't played through the game, where he becomes Venom, like where Norman Osborn's trying to experiment with his son, and he's kind of turn him into Venom. You see the Venom strand at the end, but maybe there's something there that you can do in live action where you have like a father-son show, kind of like in Smallville, you had like Lex and Lionel Luthor, and like there was like some father-son drama there, and Lex is he trying to be like his corporate father? Maybe there's something there with Harry Osborn. I don't know if I'd watch it, but hey, some people might.
Yeah, there.
They said lots of characters, which is the only reason why I feel like, okay, they're dipping into villains.
Yeah.
For sure, that's interesting. I'm also thinking about specifically them, right? Lord and Miller. What seems like is up their alley. So let's remind people of stuff that Lord and Miller did. They are. Oh, I remember them back from Clone High.
Yeah, Clone High
was like the first thing that I saw of theirs, but the Lego Movie.
Mm-hmm.
What else we
21
got?
Jump
21
Street, and 22 Jump Street, yeah. And Solo before.
Supposedly Solo.
Yeah.
before he was-
Well, not
they
supposedly,
were
but
moved.
Well, that's why I think they would love like the Sinister Six because they're a
Yeah.
little silly and I think there's a lot of comedy in those characters because they're so weird. It's almost like the Batman villains where they're
rogue
so
gallery, yeah.
focused on like one thing. Like I do this one thing, it's my bad thing.
Right.
I make things go fast.
They did that a lot with the Lego movie, right? They just focused on how silly it is to be obsessed. Also, I mean, their take on they inspired that take of Batman. But then Chris, what's his face, is the guy that really ran with it. But the Lego Batman story is that obsessive. I'm an obsessive billionaire that wears a bat suit, so that means I'm insane.
Right.
But that comes from them. So yeah, that's really interesting. Like going that villain route, but then also just playing it like as a game.
Or maybe like other heroes, because like there's like Black Cat. You know, some of like Spider-Man's friends that we haven't seen show up yet.
They used to have an animated show, Spider-Man and Friends. Yeah. All right, so we're excited because at first when we brought it up, it was a little bit like, do they have the characters to support their own stuff that is not going to include Spider-Man? It can't include Aunt May. It might not be able to include Kingpin or something.
That's what I'm not sure. Yeah, because Kingpin was in the or Wilson Fisk was in Daredevil, but was Kingpin in Daredevil.
Yeah.
They kind of referenced him as the Kingpin, but really they called him Wilson Fisk. That was the character's name.
But that's their
Kingpin
thing.
and Into the Spiderverse.
They don't really like to say the names in the MCU as much.
But it's this weird like side corner of the MCU that's not like real MCU. It's just kind of connected, but not really. So like there's all these things in there where it's not truly like there's references to. I don't think they even mentioned S.H.I.E.L.D. in that world, do they? Like there's no.
No, that's interesting. Well, but those characters are so. S.H.I.E.L.D. is somehow supposed to be like beneath the radar a little bit, so maybe they just don't know it exists.
And they also don't know that like Washington D.C. was attacked after the Battle of New York. No one ever mentions Sokovia. There's very few references to other big events other than the Battle of New York in these Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah, but New Yorkers, I mean,
Yeah, there's no world outside of
outside New York.
I don't walk around like talking about all the great tragedies that have happened at all times.
Well, but do you think if you were so obsessed with defending your city and something catastrophic happened in your city and you're a super, that you probably would talk about it?
It's a fair point.
The details of that, I feel like we have to wait and see because we're so early on. They literally just said, "Hey, we're doing a thing. We think about a lot of people, maybe."
Yep.
Sony. Great. So, yeah, who knows? We'll stay tuned to that. Instead, a thing that we know is happening is James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel. And he just threw out there, hey, by the way, the name of this is not Suicide Squad 2 or Suicide Squad or anything like that. It's The Suicide Squad. And I feel like that actually has implications for what that might mean. Like, why would he just take Suicide Squad and be like, no, this is The Suicide Squad? What do we think? What are our theories on what he's trying to communicate about what his film's going to be?
Well, isn't there like an implicit reboot there by saying the in the way that like the Batman and Matt Reeves' new story is going to be like a reboot? Yeah. Like it's almost as if like we're pretending that the most recent version of this did not happen and we're starting fresh. So when he says like The Suicide Squad, it's almost. It seems like a bit too soon. Like, why not just have like another spin-off name from it, the way that we have like Captain America, The Winter Soldier, or Thor, Ragnarok.
Suicide Squad,
New Class.
Hawaii. Vengeance,
well, and you would imagine they'd probably keep Margot Robbie because not only was she good, but like Birds of Prey is a thing that's happening. So it'd be weird for them to reboot Suicide Squad and not have Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Well, we still don't have confirmed exactly who's on his team, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Will Smith will not be in it, right? And Wilson said that he's not. Yeah, and a lot of them won't be.
I mean, fair call.
Yeah. So I mean, that could be the part that it's trying to communicate is, we talk a lot about mantles lately. Maybe the mantle of the Suicide Squad. It's like making the varsity team or something. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not a great team to be put on as suicide team suicide, but it does have that rotating cast vibe to it. Maybe he's trying to like underline, yes, these films are going to have people die that are on the team, and we'll just switch them out and keep making these movies.
Maybe they want to keep it meta like that by saying the Suicide Squad. The beginning will be like, well, the first iteration of Suicide Squad didn't work.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny idea.
Some of you guys in to replace the other guys that didn't test well.
It's just so weird because that movie still made a ton of money. And it won an Oscar, right? It won an Oscar for like makeup and hair.
Did
like,
it really?
Yeah, it's one of the few superhero movies to win an
Killer
Oscar.
Croc is makeup, I believe.
It's all practical prosthetics.
That guy died for sure, but that much makeup all over him.
People, like a lot of domestic audiences were mixed on this movie. Overseas, people liked it. People like Will Smith movies, so it's weird for them to like imply that the last one was like a Josh Trank Fan Four Stick style failure. It wasn't, especially from a financial sense.
It's one of those films that has the critic review that really has since painted it as being one of the worst superhero films ever.
Well, and really the fan review as well.
I mean, it
like
wasn't great.
People that were looking forward to a Suicide Squad film hated it. So maybe if you weren't familiar with the comics ahead of time and went in and were like, man, that was pretty cool. I like Jared Leto. You know, like maybe for those people it was cool. But
I mean, I think a lot of people also were excited to see somebody's take on Joker. That's why they started pushing Joker so much in the marketing. When they didn't even need him in that movie at all.
Completely unnecessary.
I'd say that movie of the past like 5 years or whatever is one of the ones that's most responsive to the marketing, because when we saw those first dark themed trailers that were very Batman versus Superman and everything was kind of gritty, everyone was talking a lot of shit. And that's also right when they had the Joker reveal that, you know,
that damage
tattoo in that picture, and everything was looking so bad.
Yeah.
And they did that one trailer set to Bohemian Rhapsody. Right, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And they edited it that way, and then they did the neon paint. Rebranding. I've never seen such a quick pivot, but I've also never seen that work so well. That's why I think that movie just performed so well. Suddenly, people are like, wait, this looks really fun. A lot of people are gonna get shot up in the DC universe. That's kind of an interesting new thing. And then it still was the same movie. In fact, they made it probably worse.
Yeah.
Because they famously brought in the editing team that did that last trailer. We're like, you guys are so good, can you fix our movie?
Yeah, that never happens. You never have the trailer editing company take over the movie itself. They're in marketing. They are not in storytelling. They're in a different kind of storytelling. I don't want to dismiss. They do great work. A lot of these trailer houses do. But it's so weird just to hand the movie over to them to re-edit. And I think that why it felt like such a tonal mishmash when you were watching it. Why am I suddenly in a flashback 40 minutes in the movie to who Deadshot's backstory is? This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It felt like it was confused, but I think people love the soundtrack that they shelled out money to put in that movie.
That music is still on the radio.
Love the soundtrack. Hot Topic sold a ton of stuff.
But I mean, getting back to James Gunn's version of the movie, I get why he feels I'm going to tell the version of Suicide Squad that should have been the case in 2016 when that came out. It's just it's just a weird title, unless that's going to be a joke in the marketing of the movie. We were gonna call it, really, this is the Suicide Squad, or the actual Suicide Squad.
The last one was Fake Squad. This it's also though, I mean, we're putting a lot of importance on the word but yeah, it could be. What if DC just sticks with this, right? The Batman, the Suicide Squad, the Wonder Woman movie, or they could do that.
The Man of Steel.
What's the third one? Is it a Suicide Squad?
It's just articles that just show.
No, really, the Suicide Squad.
Squad, suicide.
Worth noting, by the way, isn't it the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
But it's just it's real little right there.
There's a lot of words to get through there.
Yeah. So maybe it is going to be a full reboot, but also it just feels like a weird choice to
using the definitive article, I feel makes it very self-important.
Yeah.
This is the only one you need to care about.
Right.
Pay no attention to that Suicide Squad behind the curtain.
Yeah.
It works for the Ohio State University.
Hey, that's what you said earlier, and then you stole now.
He was in the movie for it.
I wasn't
You
rooting
went
for
there.
it.
You went there.
For whatever reason, tell me if you guys feel this way too. I feel the Wonder Woman sounds more awkward than the Batman, because people have said the Batman.
Yeah, they've called him the Batman.
The Wonder Woman.
Well, to me, the putting that article there always is harkens to media, right? The coverage of the character. So it's it's almost like that Spider-Man figure out there, or whatever. So the Wonder Woman switches the perspective from her story to kind of our perception of her. We have that Wonder Woman out there that's saving the day for us. Can't we get her?
They should do what the Yellow Pages do, and it should be AAA Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So that it shows up first when you're
On
looking
your
at the
Netflix
list of
streaming
movies
list,
to stream. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something Notorious that comes with it too, right? The Batman, the Spider-Man, or the Suicide Squad. People are talking about them in an almost kind of in a negative way, in an anti-hero kind of way. You wouldn't say the Wonder Woman because she's such an inspirational figure. She comes from this other island, and she enters our world, and kind of the way Superman is. Do people say the Superman?
Like your mom does when she's talking about it. She's
used to read in the Superman pajamas.
Reading
The Superman and the Mario, they go fighting.
On the Nintendo, you play with Superman all day.
Yeah.
Yikes. But I don't know. But the Penguin is okay. But people don't say the Two-Face.
But if he was the Penguin Man, we probably would call him just Penguin Man from now on.
The Nightwing.
Cool. All right, guys. It's time for my not favorite part of the show, just as much as any other part of the show. I like it all the same. It's called Rogue Questions.
Very diplomatic introduction.
Yeah. Well,
I'll treat all your segments equally.
yeah, exactly. Well, they're all adapted. All right. So Disney announced. Oh yeah. By the way, I don't know these questions. I'm reading them for the first time, and I'm not great at reading. We established earlier. I don't know the word pirates. All right. Disney announced plans this week to remake some Fox properties, including Home Alone. Quick pitches for how to update Home Alone for 2019.
Well, obviously they have a Simply Safe system because they listen to podcasts.
Which we did do a brand deal with Simply Safe a while back, so thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for not saying Ring, but they're essentially doorbell cams.
Yeah, they don't ever break in because they have Simply Safe. The end. I mean, they've already had the theory that Saw is Kevin McAllister becomes the
grown-up.
Jigsaw or whatever.
That's terrifying. I think it's all smart home hacking.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like everything in the house is controlled with like if this then that, and it's this kid that just gets on the phone and is like,
You mean the if this and that kit, like or like coding that you can basically so the kid is like super nerdy basically.
if this and that is not that hard to use. I think
I
you
use
could
it.
handle
I just am very nerdy. I admit. That,
but like if you're like shutting a garage door on somebody's head because you have a smart garage
if
door.
If burglars break in,
and
kill him with the garage door.
Yeah, sure. Setting up all sorts of stuff. But between thermostats, sprinklers, garage door, like how many different smart
just, like,
devices
make
are
my
there
house into
now
a
in the
sauna.
house that like just completely control the house from like a safe room upstairs?
Wasn't there like a Disney Channel movie that was like
Smart
that?
House.
Smart House?
Smart House. Yeah. This whole story could take place in the cyber world, the way like Tron or Ready Player One, like the battle is fought in the machine, and like they have avatars, and he's using paint cans still because he's on a match.
Digital paint cans.
Digital Matchbox cards.
Is it like a true? What if it's just like a sequel? It's like later on, like Kevin McAllister's all grown up.
Just like gritty, and we hear the
And he
Home Alone
shoots
theme
them
on a
because
slow
of a stand your
piano.
ground law that
or
enables them to do it.
maybe like Buzz is still living in the house, like he never moved out. The parents are dead.
Or Buzz is the old man next door now with the shovel.
Oh yeah. Maybe he took up the mantle of killing people.
The
melting them in salt.
He didn't kill people. He just
No, but
sprinkled
Buzz thought
salt.
he did, so Buzz thought he had to start doing it.
Wait, maybe it's the Shovel Man and the Bird Lady from the second one.
Oh, they
Joint
come
forces,
together.
The Suicide Squad too. All right,
Yikes.
let's do it. Danny Trejo saved a child after a car wreck this week.
I read
My God,
that.
Danny Trejo's also isn't he in his 80s? I think.
Yes,
He's 107.
Oh yeah, I got it right. Yeah. What movie star would you most like to be saved or rescued by?
Whoever played like Wendy Peppercorn in The Sandlot.
That's one
That's
of
it
the
for you,
things.
huh?
I was the right age to be like, oh, I could
Yeah.
trick a woman into mouth to mouth, right? Yes.
That's
Problematic.
hilarious.
That would not make the cut for a 2019 version.
That's true.
Probably not.
But really though, I'd like to be saved by like Timothy Oliphant.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
He
because
seems
then you have like a
great
great
guy,
conversation.
and I'd want to
Like a
hang out
solid
with him.
dude.
Yeah.
Chris Evans seems like an all right fella.
Oh,
Or
he's
The Rock,
amazing.
Yeah.
The
Oh yeah,
Rock.
getting saved by the Rock.
Yeah, but who
for
needs
sure.
like a reboot? Who needs like a career reboot?
Oh, like
This could
do
be
them a
like someone-
favor?
Rick
Tarantino.
Moranis.
Oh,
I want to be saved by Rick Moranis.
He's ready to
just
come
so,
back, too.
Just so he starts doing more on camera
Yeah,
work
to be clear,
again.
he fails in saving you, and then you both
No,
get hurt.
it's an underdog story.
Yeah.
Is the saving you part?
Yes.
You should-
And then everyone's really surprised.
But how
that
does he
Rick
save you? He
Moranis
saves
pulled
you a
it
lot of
off.
money on your taxes.
Yeah.
No,
He uses science to flip
He
the car
uses
back
science
over.
to flip the car, and then
He
he's
shrinks
really,
the
really
car.
sweet about it afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, these were very obscure names, by the way. I just saying.
Moranis.
A Tennessee man whose real name is Luke Sky Walker was arrested this week for theft. What's the funniest thing he could have stolen?
Regular colored milk.
Yeah,
Or power converters, probably.
yeah, probably a fake hand, right?
Right.
Whatever those big sea manatees on Ach 2, like bottle top nipple
Oh
things.
God, yeah. But those are real.
He could have stolen a kiss from another family member. It is Tennessee after all.
Ah,
See, and I was gonna go with like a prop replica of some sort. Like he stole a really expensive prop replica lightsaber, or like a bantha sleeping bag, or something like that.
Or what if he stole like a Star Trek phaser because he doesn't really know the franchise?
yeah. There's a space in his name too. He
I'm
doesn't
that
know it.
spaceman.
a tricorder?
Seth Rogen, who produced Amazon's The Boys, I didn't know that, tweeted out a series of 1-star reviews for the show from people upset at how graphic it all was.
I loved the boys.
Yeah. What kind of negative review would make you want to watch something more?
How much profanity is in it, right? Like it's too,
So it was too compelling.
Yeah.
I was too interested. I couldn't look at my phone.
Yeah.
This world was simply not real enough with all the magic and dragons in it.
Yeah. Too
Couldn't
many
get
animorphs
behind
in
it.
this story.
No more Animorphs. Today is International Cat Day. I hate these questions.
These are my favorite questions.
Not all of the questions. I hate the ones that.
Isn't every day on the internet International Cat Day?
Cat Day. Last time we talked about mustard. And we had, I guess, at least a cat is alive. What's your favorite pop culture cat? Heathcliff.
Dame Judi Dench in the Cats trailer.
Please also keep a tally of how often Eric brings up.
Heathcliff was great. He had the best theme song, I think, of all like cats.
Heathcliff was cool. Garfield was cool.
Snagglepuss is great.
The cat that Rachel animorphs into in Animorphs number 3.
Disney
the
attraction
secret.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is getting its own cookbook based on dishes served in the park. So I'm gonna list a dish, and you tell me if it's really served in the park or not.
Okay.
Ready? All right. Mustafarian lavar roll.
Real.
Fake.
Yes.
Not real.
Well, it's real. I accidentally revealed it before you answered.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
And I
It's
still
real.
said fake.
Yeah. Okay. Ithorian garden loaf.
Fake.
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 Real.
Loaf?
Who wants a garden loaf?
It's
that
real.
sounds
That's
awful.
the weird
Yeah.
part.
It's
not
like
the
a
Ithorian.
salad
Zucchini
and
bread.
a loaf
It's
together.
Morningstar Farms like bread and butter.
Gungan spice hot wings.
Fake.
Real.
Fake.
Fake.
I've said fake for all of them,
I've
so
been
law
wrong
of averages.
every time.
A taste of takodana.
I'm going to say real.
That sounds real.
Real.
Oh my god!
It's
Whatever
statistically
I say,
improbable.
just pick the opposite. Everybody
I'm
else.
batting 500, baby.
Mon calamari.
Oh, I mean, it's too good. They don't
It's-
have
it's
it 'cause
too
he's
on
a
the
real
nose.
person. Why would
Yeah,
they eat
they're
Mon
called Mon
Calamari?
Calamari. It's just like eating bantha.
Yeah,
So wait,
yeah.
we're saying fake.
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 Yeah.
Are you saying fake?
I said fake.
Okay, it's fake.
Yeah.
The curse is broken.
I don't think Disney has the
Right.
scratch to provide a squid dish.
Okay, have any of you been to Galaxy's Edge
Yeah,
yet?
I've been there.
Okay, so you're kind of cheating a little bit.
Well, I don't remember everything they
On the
serve on
menu.
Batu
Okay.
at the Black Spires.
Okay.
This one I'll say is my favorite name. Moof juice.
It don't come in a jar.
It would be milk, wouldn't it?
Moof juice?
Milker?
Now, I'm
call
gonna
it
say,
Moof
I'm,
Milkers
I'm
like
gonna
theirs.
say
I'll
that's
say
fake.
it's real. I'll say it's real.
I'm going to say real, too.
It's real.
Is that
It's fruit
tea?
punch.
Oh, is it-
I
and
think it's not milk because they do the blue milk
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
A moof is
And
not a
green
fruit.
milk.
A moof is a very special part of someone's body. Okay, anyway. Wookiee waffles with Jawa juice.
Please,
Fake.
yes.
Too fake.
Please,
real.
yes.
Fake.
Oh, it should be. Let's get on some Wookiee.
Let's make that. We'll make that together.
Yeah, cookbook.
These always end with, all right, fried Yoda with Kylo Ren tears.
That's definitely real.
Take it up with the card writer who always sneaks in something at the end. Yeah, that's fake. That's also this whole episode of Rogue Theory's been fake. Thank you guys so much. Let's go just real quick where we can find you guys. Trisha Hershberger.
You can find me on all the socials at that GRL Trish. So it's like that girl Trish, but without an I in the word girl.
But it does have an I in the word Trish.
Yes, just not an
Very-
I in the word. That GRL Trish. It's kind of like that girl Trish, if that makes any sense. But you can find me on all the socials there or on YouTube or Twitch /Trisha Hershberger. Or if you watch caffeine.tv, Newegg's YouTube channel, Kingston's YouTube channel, or Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel in those places as well.
Great.
Congrats.
Thanks for having me.
And Brandon, just the corner of 34th. And
Yeah. Check me out on 34th and Archer.
ranting.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Grin and Barrick. # Swiss Cheese Brain.
There you go. Grin and Barrick.
Grin and Barrick.
Yeah,
I
there
love
you go.
that.
It's a terrible pun.
no,
But you committed to it 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm an early adopter.
Eric, what do we got coming this week?
Okay, yeah. So on the channel, our good friend Marina Mastros is back. She's flying solo to talk about the different ways the MCU could reboot the Fantastic Four, some of the conversation we're having here. But she's going to go into a couple different interesting
Nice.
theories for ways the MCU might have already set up this crossover opportunity. We have another video coming out where the Endgame screenwriters talked about like how Thor's storyline in Infinity War almost derailed the whole thing. They had to like retool it, and it kind of sets up a possible villain for Thor: Love and Thunder. So I kind of go into some theory on that and some other Marvel-related stuff. And whenever Chris Nolan finally drops his actual online YouTube version of Tenet, we have some theories on what the hell that trailer could be. If you saw Hobbs and Shaw, Tenet's trailer means nothing. It seems like the most mundane, blasé trailer. But if you look at like the camera angles, there's some weird like editing hiccups that like, man, if you like cross your eyes the way I do for all our trailer breakdowns, I think we might have cracked the code for what Tenet might actually be next summer.
Ooh. Yeah. Guys, also follow him at EA Boss everywhere. I'm Filup Molina. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter with Filup Molina. Do not forget to subscribe to the Rogue Theory podcast feed. This is all a conversation that you're hearing in the future for people that only see it on the YouTube channel. That makes sense to like one person. Also follow us on Twitter, just all around at New Rockstars, and we'll tell you what we have going on. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
thank
delightful.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Old friends.
Old friends.
Friends.
Boo.
New
Huzzah.
chats.
Huzzah. Tink.